SQEEG Brain Mapping. What is this? It's a sequential quantitative electroencephalogram. Pretty much a fancy way of saying a brain map. What does this involve, and how and why do we actually do it? So this is where we put on a headset onto an individual, and then we place electrodes at very specific locations, and we measure the neural activity, what's actually occurring there. And we can start to see if areas are overactive, there's a lot of activity there, or underactive, there's not a lot of activity there. And we can even measure how much or how little these frequencies are interacting with each other when an individual is staring at a screen, when they're closing their eyes, and so forth. When they're doing cognitive exercises, we can measure all this, and this gives us a clear indication of how the brain actually performs. And then with this, we can actually start to see those imbalances, and by doing neurofeedback, we can train and regulate those frequencies to balance out that person's psychology. So if there's a lot of high wave activity, let's say across the frontal area of the brain, could indicate things of psychological stress or anxiety. And then we can actually train that brain to down-regulate that high activity, and this starts to balance out that person's psychology, which is phenomenal. So this is the practice of neurofeedback, but we all start with a SQEEG or a qEEG, a brain map, and then to look for those imbalances, and then we use neurofeedback to actually train those balances. So what it's really good for is things like anxiety, things like depression, really good, and a lot of studies around neurofeedback in ADHD, even things around focus and attention and memory is all really good, because we can see these parts of the brain and actually train them specifically, which is phenomenal when we see it in action.